groovy.
I got some new games. Oh, what a glorious day. Oh, get new games. The kids show you can wait. Hey everybody, Jim here with some more video game pickups, which I haven't done one in a little while, but I have picked up some pretty cool stuff recently. A lot of Japan exclusive stuff. So if you want to add some cool imports to your collection, then take notes. And this time around, so I don't get too parched, my throat doesn't get too dry, I have my KFC branded water. I've been getting a lot of food through Uber Eats recently, and KFC delivers, but they don't deliver any kind of colas or anything like that. The only drink you can really get from them is water, so I've been getting this KFC water because, you know, you can trust the Colonel, absolutely. Okay, so to begin this pickups video though, not video games at all actually. First off, I'm wearing it. This t-shirt and some more t-shirts I got here I actually got from a viewer of the channel by the name of Eric. Eric was here on vacation in Japan doing some game hunting and sent me a message. He got in contact with me on the Kids Who You Can Facebook page, which, if you haven't already, I would encourage you to go and check out the Facebook page. Also my Twitter and my Instagram, I post cool stuff, but that's also where you can get in contact with me. You can send me some messages if you want, especially if you're going to be coming to visit Tokyo and you'd like to maybe hang out, look for some games, have a couple of beers. I'm always up for that. But Eric and his friends Tom and Vincent came for a visit, and I met up with them. We went around to a couple of different bars, had some beers and a few laughs, and it was great. And they gave me these t-shirts as a nice gift, which I thought was like just awesome, like the nicest thing of them. So I got this outstanding Neo Geo tee, a Sega Saturn shirt, which is just, it's kick-ass because I'm a huge Sega Saturn fan, and a really slick TurboGrafx 16 logo t-shirt, so that's awesome as well. So I am going to be wearing all of these, and just a little plug because they were all in a bag, and these tees were all made by Scoreless Printing and Designs LLC. So go look up Scoreless Printing and Designs if you want to order yourself some t-shirts like this really snazzy Neo Geo shirt I'm wearing right now. So there you go. But these t-shirts are awesome, so thank you so much, Eric and Tom and Vincent, for you know, thinking enough of me to want to hang out, and also giving me some really excellent t-shirts. I appreciate that a lot. Now, to the video games. I have one Super Famicom game here, and then I got a bunch of PlayStation and PC Engine. Kind of on a PlayStation kick right now, but I'm always looking out for more PC Engine stuff. But first up, this Super Famicom game, and let me read the title. It is Waku Waku Ski Nanda Shupuru. Shupuru. What the hell is Shupuru mean? I don't know what Shupuru means, but it's Waku Waku Ski Wanda Shupuru. Wanda Shupuru. This is basically like a Mode 7 racing game, kind of like a Mario Kart or an F-Zero, but instead you're skiing. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting concept. I thought I'd give it a try. Like the back of the box, you know, and just the box art and everything made it look like colorful and fun and cute. And it's made by Human, and Human generally made like pretty cool stuff. Fire Pro Wrestling, the Fireman, Clock Tower. So, you know, you can trust Human. And this is a pretty good game. I wouldn't say it's like anything like terribly like mind-blowing. It's not better than Mario Kart or F-Zero, but it is pretty fun, and the graphics are good, and the sound design is pretty good as well. And it was cheap. I think this was like $10, and it's complete and in pretty good shape. Waku Waku Ski Wanda Shupuru, pretty cool racing game on the Super Famicom. Glad I picked that up. Nice little addition to the collection. Okay, bunch of PS1 games here, but I have one PS2 game that I picked up recently, and it's a doozy. This is Akira Psycho Ball. And for anyone who doesn't know, this is Akira video pinball. And, you know, that sounds like kind of lame. Like, why make an Akira pinball game instead of doing all kinds of other stuff with that property that you think you would be able to do? And I agree with that sentiment. I've actually already completed a review on this game that I'll be publishing at some point in the future. But yeah, it's pinball with Akira theme. So, you know, you smack the ball around and then get it over here, and then you go to the Akira Dome, and you gotta break the Akira Dome with the ball and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, kind of lame that there's a pinball game and not like a combat bike racing game, but what can you do? I'm an Akira fan, so I had to pick it up. Akira Psycho Ball, there you go. Next up, all these are PS1 games, and I think they're all Japan exclusive games, actually. First up, we have a game called Running High, and this is a racing game, and instead of being in some kind of vehicle, you are in some kind of like mechanized suit that lets you run at like, you know, super speed. So it's a foot race game where you're running. So like imagine, because it's one of those like futuristic-y racing games. So imagine stuff like Wipeout or Extreme G, but instead you're running. You're on foot. So I mean it's pretty cool. Like it's, I guess, kind of an interesting concept. Like they were running out of like different ways to make a racing game, so they're like, hey, let's just make one where people run on foot, but that's kind of boring, so let's give them like super mechanized suits so they can run super fast, and it's in the future. So I mean, graphically not bad, soundtrack pretty good, and it's decently fun. Just sort of like a generic future-y racing game, except again you're on foot, which makes it kind of weird, kind of quirky. And it's cheap, like it's super cheap. I got this for like $5. And I thought to myself, for $5, you know, that's an interesting enough premise. Let's give it a shot. Running High, you know, not too bad. Next up, this game is actually surprisingly good. I like it quite a bit, actually. It's Gamera 2000. Gamera is, of course, the giant turtle that like flies through the air, like I guess shoots rockets out of its shell and all kinds of shit. Kind of like the big turtle version of Godzilla in a way. It's one of those series of like kaiju, but this game plays pretty much like a reskin of Panzer Dragoon. So you're some humans in like fighter ships, or sometimes on some kind of like a speeder bike, and you're shooting things, but also Gamera is flying around with you, and you can lock onto enemies, and Gamera will shoot fireballs at them and stuff. So it plays exactly like Panzer Dragoon, except it's Gamera. So just replace the Dragoon, whatever it is, the thing you're riding on, replace that with a giant flying space turtle, and you've got this game. And it's also notable for having just like the bottom of the barrel cheesiest FMV cutscenes. They are outstanding. So this is a game that I probably will do a review of at some point in the future, if for no other reason than to just show off some of those amazing cutscenes in there. But Gamera 2000 on the PlayStation is pretty cool, actually. If you like Panzer Dragoon, you'll probably like this game too. Not bad. Next up, I've been collecting all of these. I thought they were all on the Super Famicom until I came across this in a book off one day, and this is the Great Battle 6. And I like the Great Battle series. I actually put the 5th game in my top 10 Super Famicom game list. This is another side-scrolling action platformer in the series, and you can choose from Gundam and Kamen Rider and Ultraman, and they all play different. And it's fun. It goes for like a more like 2.5D look. So it's not, I don't like that as much as like the Super Famicom games, especially 4 and 5, have amazing visuals, just excellent sprite work. This doesn't look as good as those. But it is a fun enough game. The graphics aren't too bad, and the soundtrack is pretty good too. I really do like this whole series, really. So the Great Battle 6 on the PlayStation. If you're in the market for a 2D side-scrolling action platformer with little chibi Gundam guys and stuff. This could be something worth looking out for. Great Battle 6, not bad. This game I wanted to pick up after watching a review of it on Import Gaming for the Win, good old Jimmy Hoppa. This is Lightning Legend, which is a 3D fighting game made by Konami, and I will say that gameplay-wise, I feel like it's kind of a subpar 3D fighter. It's definitely a subpar 3D fighter. It's definitely no Tekken or Virtua Fighter. Kind of stiff. But like the special moves are all kind of like traditional 2D fighting game special moves. You got quarter circles and stuff like that, and like the characters are all like, they're pretty cool. Like definitely the design of the game, the visual design, the soundtrack, stuff like that. Like for me, that's a better selling point for this game, because the gameplay is pretty stiff. But I enjoyed it enough. It's a game I feel like the charm of the visuals and the character designs and the soundtrack and everything, it makes it a more enjoyable game. You can take a game that's got kind of mediocre gameplay and just make it better by having some enjoyable aesthetics, and so that's what this game does. But Lightning Legend, 3D fighter on the PS1, another game that's pretty damn cheap. I actually bought this game. It was brand new, and it was like, I want to say it was like $10, $10 or $15. So not an expensive game at all. So Lightning Legend, that's one you can pick up if you don't want to spend too much. Next up, this game is awesome. I actually found this game just sort of like randomly looking around Amazon. I'll sort of do that. I'll go and look up a game I want, and then I'll go to the section where it says, people who looked at this also looked at this, that, and the other thing, and I'll just sort of like dig through the games in there. So this game I came across, it looked interesting, so I picked it up. This is Koro Koro Postonin, and what this is a game where you're playing as this young girl who is delivering newspapers, but it's like in the future, and I guess you're kind of in outer space, so the environments just look like, regular neighborhoods, but it's like 0G. So you don't control the girl at all, you control the screen. You just rotate the screen to make her move around, and the object of the game is to deliver all the newspapers, navigate these floating mazes, and get everybody's newspapers to them. And you can, collect coins and other various like items for points and stuff like that, and eventually like more and more obstacles are introduced, so it gets more difficult as you go along. But I really like this game. It's a lot of fun. It's actually very reminiscent of an arcade game by I think by Taito, if I'm not mistaken, that was called On the Ball, which is like the exact same thing, but it was a ball and it bounced around and you had to rotate the screen. Here she doesn't bounce around, she runs and she'll flop from one side to the other or whatever, but you're just gotta get those newspapers delivered in zero gravity, which is an interesting premise for the game. And again, it's very, very simple, very the controls are just rotating the screen. There's not really anything else you do, but for how simple it is, like, it feels like this game could easily be like a mobile game or something, just something you play on your phone, just rotate your phone around. But for as simple as the gameplay is, this is actually very, very fun and addictive. I've really been enjoying it. Also, the soundtrack is good, and the graphics are kind of cute too. It's 100% 2D graphics. But I like this game a lot. So, Koro Koro Postonin. This is something that I would recommend picking up if you pick up PlayStation imports. This is a good one. Pretty damn cool. Kind of unusual. And the last PlayStation game I picked up was one I've been wanting for quite a while, because I'm pretty sure there's also a game in this series on the Super Famicom. I'm not entirely sure. But this is Umehara Kawase, and what's the subtitle? It's Umehara Kawase Shun, 2nd edition. For those who are not familiar, Umehara Kawase is it's a series of platformers where you are a young girl and you have fishing line, and so you have to like throw the line to like catch on ledges and everywhere else, and you have to sort of like swing and bounce around, and it's actually pretty tricky platforming, but it's extremely fun and addictive. Like, I get a game over in this game, I get up to like stage 20 or 25 or something, and then I'll die, and I'm just, you know, I get frustrated a little, but I can't put it down until I finish it. So the Umehara Hanako games, this one I think I paid maybe almost $30 for it. But there's the first edition is like much cheaper. The first edition is like $10, or like 1,000 yen, wherever you are, whatever your conversion rate is. But this is a great game. I absolutely recommend it to anybody that plays Japanese PlayStation games. It's really good. The graphics are kind of like baffling, like it's kind of weird, the stage designs. But it looks kind of cool, and the soundtrack is really great too. It's very soothing. Like, this is a game I can play and, you know, relax while I'm playing it, and just the visuals and the sound design and the gameplay, which, you know, leaves you time to like really think about what you're doing. Yeah, I like it a lot. So Umehara Hanako, absolutely amazing game. Highly recommend it. Check it out. Pick it up if you are so inclined. And those are all the PlayStation games. And I'm gonna take a shot of my, you know, Colonel's water here. You know, keep talking. You know, your throat gets a little bit dry, and then you get bubbles in your stomach, and you can belch into the microphone, and that's always fun. Okay. We got a whole bunch of PC Engine here. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 PC Engine games recently. And I think I bought all of these at the exact same time. I think I was in a Trader, and a bunch of this was like really reasonably priced. I was picking some of these up for like $10. So you give me a PC Engine game for $10, I'm definitely going for it. First up, we have this game here, Robbie OH Lepus. This is a HuCard game, the only HuCard game of the bunch, actually. Robbie OH Lepus is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up where you have like a rabbit ship thing, and you blow up a whole bunch of crap in space. It's a little wacky, but the one thing, well, more than one thing, what made me want this game was, one, that it's a shooter on the PC Engine, which typically you can rely on to be pretty good, and two, is that it was made by Video System, and Video System also made the Sonic Wings games, which are outstanding, and then a bunch of the employees from Video System went on to form Psycho, which made some of my favorite shooters of all time. You know, stuff like Strikers 1945 and Sengoku Blade, stuff like that. So, when I saw they made this game, I just knew I was going to pick it up, and it's pretty good. You know, it's one of their earlier titles. I don't know if this is like their first crack at a shoot-'em-up. So I would say it's definitely not as good as games like Sonic Wings or some of the Psycho published games, but still pretty damn good. I'm happy I picked it up. Graphics, sound, gameplay, all definitely not bad. So Robbie OH Lepus, if you want to pick up a side-scrolling shooter for your PC Engine, and one that's pretty cheap. Again, I think this was like $10 or something. Go for Robbie OH Lepus. It's not bad. Next up, I have a game here that I hadn't really intended on ever picking up, but a viewer of the show, and you know who you are, so I expect to hear from you down in the comments, was constantly asking me about this game, and so I finally, broke down, picked it up, because this is another one that was like $10, but this is Galaxy Fraulein Yuna. And what this is, I mean, it's essentially like a visual novel game, which is typically not a genre of games I'm very interested in. But there's also other gameplay in here as well. There's combat gameplay of a sort, so it's not strictly a visual novel game, but it is for the most part. But the graphics in here, because, you know, PC Engine CD games, they always had to sort of sneak in some anime cutscenes, but this game is like just 100%, you know, PC Engine anime style cutscenes, and I mean, they look pretty good. This is probably one of the better looking games in terms of like, because there's not really much gameplay to really go by, but just like if you've seen a lot of cutscenes in PC Engine games, this is up there with some of the better ones. It is a Hudson published game. So, I mean, the graphics are really good. It's a very, you know, colorful game, really cutesy anime character designs. The soundtrack is pretty good. The voice acting, I mean, if you can't speak Japanese, you probably wouldn't care. But, it's not bad. All around, like, for a visual novel game, it's not too bad. I will say that. And if nothing else, I really do like the design of the characters and the box art, all that. So that's, pretty cool at least. So Galaxy Fraulein Yuna, again, a very affordable game to pick up. This was $10, and there was an even cheaper version that was just like a single disc jewel case, but I decided to pick this one up just to get the full experience, I guess. But Galaxy Fraulein Yuna, it is what it is. So yeah, I finally got it, and now if you want me to review it, that I might be able to do that, but that might be a little further down the road because I have some priorities. This next game really surprised me, actually. This game is called Starmobile, or Star Mobile, however you want to pronounce it. I had never heard of this game. I didn't know it from Adam, but it was cheap. It was like $7 or $8, and it was published by Nagsat Soft, who typically made like pretty good stuff for the PC Engine. And what this is it is a puzzle game where you have scales, and stars will come down from the top of the screen, and they all have a different weight. So there's a color-coded thing at the bottom of the screen that lets you know what color stars weigh what. And the point is to position them on the scales without tipping the scales. So you have 2 here and then 2 on either side under those. So it's actually a pretty tricky puzzle game, but it's like really fun. Like as soon as I started playing it, because I do really enjoy puzzle games, so anytime I can find like a new one that does something different, I'm really into it. So immediately when I started playing this, I was just loving it. It's a lot of fun, very simple gameplay, but just that's usually the best kind of puzzle games. Just very simple, and it's addictive. It's fun. I mean, the graphics and sound are like nothing to write home about. It's more soothing than anything, which, that's good for a puzzle game as well. But Starmobile, or Starmobile, or however it's pronounced, this is an awesome game, so I will recommend this as well. If you have a PC Engine CD or a Turbo Duo or anything, Starmobile, pick this up. It's pretty cool. You might be surprised at how much fun you're having with it. Next up, game published, or at least developed by CD Lasersoft, who made quite a number of games, including like Valis, I want to say Valis 3 and 4. They did a whole bunch of stuff. But this is Avenger. And Avenger is a top-down shoot-'em-up where you have a helicopter and you can angle it like left and right. So kind of like, and this, I don't even want to compare the two, but if you've played Under Defeat, it controls more or less like Under Defeat. So you go in there, you blow up a bunch of stuff, and then the next stage you have more weapons to choose from. So before the beginning of each stage, you can choose like your main gun and your bombs and whatever else. Pretty cool shoot 'em up. Definitely not the best on the console, but I would say it's decent. It's kind of mediocre-y, but it's not bad at least. And the graphics are pretty good. There are plenty of cutscenes and stuff. CD Lasersoft was usually pretty good about that. But yeah, the graphics and the sound aren't so bad, and the gameplay is fun. I wouldn't buy this ahead of like classics on the PC Engine. Like if you were just starting out buying shooters, this wouldn't be like the first one I picked up. But it's still not bad. Avenger, I'm pretty happy with it, especially for the price I paid for it. Next up, another one by CD Lasersoft, and this one is better, I will say. This is Psychic Storm. And Psychic Storm, another top-down shooter. I would say this game has better graphics, better sound, better gameplay. It's definitely better than Avenger. You have a handful of different ships to choose from. And essentially, like, the way I was playing it is I set the Psychic Storm to automatic, but basically what happens is your ship, you can transform it into this kind of like, it almost looks like a flying monster or something, and it's like extra powerful for a short period of time, which really comes in handy because this is not a difficult shooter at all, but there are like a couple of spots, I think a couple of boss battles where it's at least useful to have that. But yeah, just generally speaking, like, a pretty solid shooter. Again, graphics and sound are pretty good, cutscenes look pretty cool, and the gameplay is solid. Again, not one, this wouldn't be like at the top of my list for shooters to get for the PC Engine, but it's pretty good. And it's another one that's not terribly expensive. I think I got it for like 20 bucks, and that was in Akihabara. So if you can get it for like 20 bucks there, you could probably find it for less if you went, you know, looking somewhere else where prices aren't so high. But Psychic Storm, another one, if you have a Turbo Duo, I can recommend this one. It's pretty good. Next up, I got a copy of Dynastic Hero, which is, I believe, just the PC Engine CD port of Wonder Boy and Monster World, which I believe I have on my Mega Drive here. This is a pretty good game. If you like Wonder Boy, you're gonna like this. It's a nice little adventure game, sort of action RPG-ish. It's 100% side-scrolling. You kill enemies, you get money, use your money to buy weapons and armor and potions, and you find keys, and just do some exploring, as much exploring as can be done in a purely 2D environment. But it is pretty fun, and the graphics are good. The sound design is really good. Great soundtrack on here. Again, another one published by Hudson Soft. The only thing is that it's technically not Wonder Boy. It's Dynastic Hero. So you got this guy who has like a beetle thing on his head. I don't know if these are characters taken from something else, like an anime or something like that. But either way, the gameplay is solid, and the graphics and sound are really good. And again, if you like Wonder Boy, you'll like Dynastic Hero on the PC Engine. Pretty cool game. Check that one out. And last, but certainly not least, this is one I picked up because I was talking about weird Japanese games in a previous video I did recently. And this series came up, and so I found the second game in the series to be released on the PC Engine, and that is Cho Aniki, which is the sequel to Cho Aniki, which is a notoriously weird series of Japanese shoot-'em-ups where you are, in this game, you're a huge muscle man flying through the air, shooting fireballs at other muscle men and aliens, and just all kinds of craziness. So yeah, very strange series of games, strange visuals, strange sound design, really heavy like homoerotic overtones and stuff. I definitely do not like this game as much as I like the first Cho Aniki. The first Cho Aniki feels more like just more like a traditional side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. It plays pretty well. It's just, you know, the visuals and sound and premise of the game are all what kind of make it stand out. This game does not play as well. It's less like a traditional shooter and more like they were going out of their way to just make it more unusual and more make it stand out more from the average shooter, I would say, because the PC Engine is a console with a ton of shooters on it. So I guess if you really wanted your game to stand out, you did stuff like this. Make it giant muscly men flying through the air. Do like Toilet Kids and make it a game filled with like shit monsters and asses firing shit and farts at you. You do that kind of thing. There was a glut of shoot-'em-ups on the PC Engine, so people resorted to this kind of stuff. So Cho Aniki, like, interesting for what it is, but the first Cho Aniki is definitely the better game. Still, I'm not upset I got this game. I'm happy to have it in the collection. This is a series I might try to get more of the games in this series. I know they were released on Saturn and Super Famicom and other consoles, so I might get more and more into the Cho Aniki series, believe it or not. But anyway, Cho Aniki for the PC Engine CD. There it is. As weird as it is, it's now in my collection. And that's it. Those are all the video games I picked up recently. Thank you, Colonel. Alright, that's it. So, if you sat and watched all of that, you checked out all of those games, now what you can do is go down to that comment section down there, and you can let me know what you thought of these games, and if anything stuck out to you, if you'd like to see a review of it, or even when I do my recommendation videos where I feature 5 different games, if you want to see it, you know, and rotate it into something like that, go ahead and let me know, because as I'm picking these games up, I'm trying to just pick up games that that are good, that are fun, that I want to have in my collection. So I'm trying to pick up good games, and games that would be deserving of reviews and things like that. So definitely let me know down in the comments what interests you, and I'll try to get those videos made. Anyway, that'll do her. So thanks for sticking around. If you stuck around for the whole video, you got a lot of patience, and I appreciate it. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.